In this video, we're going to go over how to complete the Excel workbook for this topic. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. And so I've got the Excel workbook right here. Oops. Let me pull that back up. And we've got some information on pivot tables, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. First, it says, make a pivot table for the data below. So the way that you make a pivot table is you highlight all of the data that you want to include in the pivot table, or you can just click on the table itself and do insert pivot table. And so it highlights all the data that you want. And then you say, okay, I want it in the existing workbook and I want it right here. And then press OK. And then pivot table 1, make a pivot table for the data below, put exercise number days a week. So we're going to put that exercise number in rows and in values. Okay. Change the values from sum to count. So right here, you notice it says sum. We don't want it to say sum. We want to right click, summarize values by count. So now we've got count. And then make a histogram for using exercise number of days per week. So we are going to, I'm going to copy this and bring it right down here and do insert. And I'm going to do, if you do histogram, it doesn't actually work because it's all broken up into numbers like this. What you need to do is do insert. Let's do this. Home text and we're changing these to so that they're not numbers. It just doesn't like numbers. So insert pivot table, or sorry, chart, and now it gives you the number of days per week. This is the number of times that people exercise per day or per week. And then if you double click on this on one of the bars, it will come up over here. It says format data series, and you want gap width to be 0. And now you have a histogram because there is no gap between them. Although technically there probably should be a gap between them because they are discrete. The number of days per week, it's you could do either one and really it'd be fine. Okay, pivot table 2 below here. Make a new pivot table for exercise hours per day. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can literally just go Control C and go right here and then just double click on this, or go to pivot table. There we go. So now I want exercise hours per day. Exercise hours per day. Okay. Use the 2 to the k rule to determine the appropriate number of classes. So we're going to do equals 2 raised to the what? Well, first thing that we've got to do is we've got to figure out how many observations there are. So right here, we know that there are a total of 99 observations. Okay. And right here, also, you want summarize values as count. This would also have given you the number of observations. Okay, so 2 raised to the what equals 2 raised to the whatever's in here. So let's do 2 raised to the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or if I wanted to, let's do this. 2 raised to the k, and so this is the 2 raised to the k, this is k. So which one's the first one that goes over 99? The first one that goes over 99 is going to be 7. So we want to have about 7 classes. We do not have 7 classes. We have a whole lot more than 7 classes. Let's see here. we have 15. And so we want to group these, group the rows that reflect the number of classes, and then make a histogram. So we're going to group these. And the way that we're going to group these is we're going to right click, we're going to click group, and you see 0 to 5.5. And we can just group it by 1. Let me show you why we're going to group it by 1. So the reason why we're going to group it by 1 is you've got a total of 7. Okay, so equals 99, or you want the range. So the range is 5.5 minus range 5.5 minus the minimum 0. So you've got the max minus the min. So that gives you 5.5. And then you do equals 5.5 divided by 7. And you can do it by 0.75 and it would give you 7 classes. Or you can do it by 1, which is really clean, and it gives you 6 classes. And so now I've got these right here, these 6 classes, and I'm going to copy and paste this right here. And then insert. And I'm going to make, once again, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, so on and so forth, all the way down. And bring it right over here. Gap width 0. And now count of the number of exercises per day, exercise hours per day. And last but not least, do the same thing for ideal time to exercise. So we can copy and paste this pivot table, put it right there, and then get rid of exercise hours per day and put in ideal time to exercise. And once again, instead of sum, we want to summarize values by count. And the same thing, we know that there's 99. And so we want to have around 7 categories. And so we find the range 25 minus 3. So 25 minus 3 is 22. So equals 22 divided by 7. And so it's 3.14. So we're going to want to group it by probably about 3. So we're going to group this and group it by 3. And that gives us 8 categories, which 8 categories is not bad. 7 is a starting point. It's like, hey, this is roundabouts where you should be with the number of categories that you should have. And so we've got this many categories, 8 categories, and we're going to make this into a histogram as well. Insert right here, ideal time to exercise, and 0. Okay, the big thing here is you've got to know how to read this now. Okay, if there's a total of 99 people, that means that 40 people exercise between 12 o'clock and 1500 hours. In other words, between noon and 3 o'clock. Now where this is a little weird is the person who put 25, that's actually 1 a.m. So it's a little weird. It should be over on the other side at 1. But that's just something that I should have fixed with cleaning the data. And so this is how it's all set up for you to be able to read this and know that there's no meaningful gaps between these. This is actually 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to noon, noon to 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, so on and so forth. And so that's how you read that, and you know the number of people that exercise. So there's 10, 5, and 1 person exercises between 9 o'clock and midnight. So that's how you would read that. And then also this frequency polygon right here. You can do the same thing. We've already got the ideal time to exercise, walking. Now what we're going to do is get the rest of the ideal times to exercise. Okay, so we're going to insert pivot table, existing worksheet right here. And then we've got ideal time to exercise. And we are going to display values as count. And once again, we're going to group it by 3. Okay. And so now I've got the ideal time to exercise. Now walking, what is the ideal time to walk? We're going to come right here, do the same thing, except now we're going to get rid of ideal time to exercise, and we're going to do walking ideal time. Okay. And so we're going to, once again, group these. Starting at, you want to start at 3. And the reason why is we want to keep these consistent throughout. Okay. So we're going to keep it at 3. And then by 3. Okay. And I'm gonna group 3. I don't know why. It is what it is. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing right here. Whoops. Highlight the whole thing, Control C. Oh, we want to summarize values by count again. Make sure that you change it. And then jogging. Okay. Once again, summarize values by count. And we're going to group these starting at 3 by 3. Okay. And then cardio, do the same thing. And I'm just putting them right there. So cardio. Okay. And then this one is going to be weightlifting. And we're going to summarize values by count, summarize values by count, and then we're going to group these again. Group starting at 3 by 3. Notice these are all the same thing. You're starting at 3 and you're doing it by 3, and then group starting at 3. I don't know why it says 2. That's weird. But anyway, it's not supposed to say 2. So we're going to have to fix that in a little bit, but here's what we're going to do. We've got ideal time to exercise, Control C right there. So ideal time to exercise, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 15, 15 to 18, 18 to 21, 21 to 24, 24 to 27. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing. Ideal time to walk. Now, what we need to make sure of is that these are matching up. Okay. They're not matching up. So there's an issue here. Let's see here. Group by 3, starting at 3. Well, we're going to, I don't know why it's doing that at all. That's super weird. Never had that happen. Anyway, so we're going to go with, this saying 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, Yeah, it's just a little weird. It's the same thing. It's just these right here, for some odd reason, are not going up. It's 12 to 14 inclusive, 15 to 17 inclusive, 18 to 20 inclusive, where this is, oh, I see why. All the rest of these don't have, this is the only one that has decimals. That's the reason why. Okay, so what we're going to do, these are all the exact same thing. We're just going to put that right there. And same thing right here. We're going to copy this, Control C, make sure that these all match up. 3 to 6, 6 to 9, so on and so forth, going all the way down, 24 and X. Okay, and that's jogging. And this right here is walking. And then once again, these match up perfectly, so we're good to go. And this is going to be cardio. And then this is going to be weightlifting. Make sure that they match up, all of these categories, and they do. Now, the thing that's a little weird is this one right here is the one should actually go right here, add it to the weightlifting. So it's going to be 8. And we're going to delete this. So weightlifting, cardio, jogging, walking, and then general exercise. Okay, so we've got what's referred to as a, well, this is a table, a contingency table, if you will. And so we've got this table, and now that we have this table, we can make a frequency polygon. And in order to make a frequency polygon, you come up here and you go like this, and you say, okay, we've got a frequency polygon. Okay. So we've got a frequency polygon of ideal times to exercise. Okay. Now there's some issues, and let me show you the issue. Is not all of these are the same. Okay. So walking, only 48 people indicated that they walked at all. Jogging 46, cardio 51, and weights 81. The problem with that is it looks like, general exercise, tons of people are exercising between noon and 3 o'clock, and it just looks like there's a lot more in general, but there's something that we can do to make sure that they're all on an equal playing field, if you will. So we've got a frequency polygon, and now what we can do is calculate a relative frequency polygon. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to do equals 4 divided by 99. Okay. And what this gives me right here is the relative frequency. Okay. The relative frequency of people who like to exercise between 3 o'clock and 6 a.m. compared to the whole. Okay. Equals the relative frequency of people who like to exercise between 6 and 9 divided by the whole. Once again, equals 9 to 12 count divided by the whole. Okay. And another thing that you can do, instead of 4 divided by 99, 5 divided by 99, 16 divided by 99, you can do 4 divided by L31 and just put a $sign right there. So it'll make it so that the 99 does not move up and down, but all the rest of them will. Okay, so now it's 21, 10, so on and so forth, going all the way down. And then you can just drag it down. And so now it's all of these times relative to the whole. And I'm going to change these to percents. And we're going to insert. And you notice now, oops, relative frequency of ideal times. Okay, and so now we've got a relative frequency polygon, and this is, in my opinion, a lot more accurate because you're comparing apples to apples. It's like the equivalence of everyone having 99 responses. Um, if you only care about the sheer numbers, use this one right here. But if you care about the relative number or how they compare to one another of the people who are walking, of the people who are jogging, so on and so forth. I would suggest that you do the relative frequency polygon. It is an extra step, takes a little bit more work. And there is one last one that we're going to do, and it's called a cumulative relative frequency polygon. And so the way that we do that is Control C, and we're going to do equals, and then we're going to do equals 5% plus, and then we're going to put a little dollar sign right there and drag it down. Whoops. There we go. So I did this plus this. Okay. This right here, the 9%, or rather 16 plus 9%. This right here is 40% plus 25%. This right here is 21% plus 66%. And this gives me the cumulative relative frequency. And I can drag that all the way down, equals, there we go. And so now I've got the cumulative relative frequency, and I can do it again. Insert. Okay. And this one right here is a little bit harder to read, I think, but it brings it up to 100%. And one of the reasons why this is beneficial is you can say, okay, 40% of individuals exercise between 9 to 12 or earlier. Exercise with 40%, so that would be jogging. 40% of individuals who are jogging exercise between 9 to 12 or earlier. Looking at this, you can say, hey, 40% of individuals exercise between 12 to 15 or 3 o'clock or earlier is what they're doing for walking. And so this does something really great with being able to say, hey, this is cumulative, so 40% or less, 40% or less. Then you can also come right here. 20% is the blue line, which is weights. 20% of people do it between 9 a.m. or earlier. And so that's how you do the cumulative frequency polygon. Frequency polygon of ideal times to exercise. And so that's how you would do all of this work. This is something that you will have to do again in the future. It's a very valuable skill to have. I've actually had people come to me and tell me, hey, I did this in a job interview and I showed them what I was able to do with these pivot tables and making these charts, and I was able to do it really fast, and they offered me a job right then and there, or offered me an internship rather. And so just be aware that this is very beneficial, and I'd encourage you to really make sure that you know how to do this well. Thanks.